Awesome. So excited. All right. And we are live. So, hello, my name is Hetal Joshi, and as part of an ongoing initiative to support the mental well being of our community, we have organized a series of interviews with experts, with a lot of different professionals, and also everyday heroes just like you and I. And together with me today is Zainah Zain, who was introduced. Big shout out to Mujahideen for connecting us some way or the other. Is that correct, Zainah?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
him and Leon Tan as
And
well.
Leon Tan as well. Yeah, we've got to tag them on this as well. So thank you so much for connecting us, Mujahideen, right? I'm
Yes.
calling it wrongly. Yes, and Leon, and Zaina, had a quick chat with me on Facebook Messenger and was wholeheartedly sharing her story. And I thought if she would be courageous enough to share her story. And the moment I asked her, she said, "Yep, no problem." And she'll probably tell you why shortly. So, together with me is Zainah Zain, all the
Mhm.
way from the UK right now.
Yep.
And she's going to be speaking on her experience of being born into generations of mental health related issues. As some of us may have had parents, siblings, grandparents who have gone through severe mental challenges, um, and it obviously has a huge impact on us as well. And I think Zaina sits here today as talking to someone who has been able to break the DNA of sorts.
Yes.
Yeah. So Zaina, why are you with us? What makes you want to actually speak about this today and have the courage to speak about it?
Well, I always believe the first thing about someone who has mental health is acceptance. So I've accepted it. It's part of me, and I manage it as best as I can. And I just feel that there's such a huge taboo about it, not just in the Far East, but even to an extent in the UK. And
Yeah.
I think the more people speak about it, and more people, because people who don't go through it will never understand. But if we keep sort of accepting it and talking about it, I think it will be much better. I mean, if someone has like issues with their kidneys, they'll just say it, and you get a lot of sympathy, empathy. I'm generally quite a happy, jovial person. I have my down days, obviously, but when I say, "Oh, I've got depression and anxiety," I normally get this. But what do you have to be sad about? You got this, got that. I mean, and I just think that it's really important, not just with yourself, with your family, but also within the workplace. I think it's important that employers recognize that it is a condition. One in four of us have it.
Yeah.
So it's something to look at human resource wise, because perhaps if dealing with it, you have better productivity, you have less sickness.
Of
So
course.
yeah,
Yeah,
I,
definitely. And I really appreciate the fact that you're speaking so openly about coming from a family. So you're talking about your family, and you're also talking about yourself. And you're talking about the impact on your life and also work. So what is interesting about what you said earlier is that you look normal and happy, and you shouldn't have it.
yes, that's what the out generally, actually, if you look at if you've ever met anyone who has depression and anxiety, or any mental health issues, they're normally really, really happy. It's perhaps a mask that we put on, because because when you have depression and anxiety, it does affect you physically as well. Say, for example, on my bad day, I can feel like my face feels a bit droopy, and I look at myself and I know I'm not looking the same. So
Yeah.
you still have to work, you still have to
Hmm.
be a mom, be a wife, be a friend, or whatever. And so you put on this kind of mask.
Right.
um, but that's the general perception from people. um, you know what do you have to be upset about? What do you have to be down about?
You should be so
Uh,
grateful for this. You should be so grateful
yeah,
for
you should
that.
be so
Yeah.
grateful.
You
You
have
know,
two arms, you have two legs, you have a full body,
know,
you're able.
and exactly, or they'll say,
Yeah.
other people are suffering and da da da. My dad
Yeah.
used to get that a lot, and I kind of feel like, because what can you say? It is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am in a better position than maybe quite a number of people or
Yeah.
loads of people, but it doesn't take away what I'm feeling or my,
Absolutely.
yeah, what's happening in my
Absolutely.
brain really.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess, mental health related challenges or issues are non-discriminatory. Whether you are rich, you're poor, you have
Correct.
everything in your life, whether it doesn't matter. It comes to anyone who has emotions, and we haven't probably processed it or learned how to take care of it in the
Yeah,
best way. And even worse, when we are born into a rougher start, it's
yeah,
not something that we all come into the world with the same level playing field. Each of us come in with different levels of capability and imbalances or balances, uh,
correct.
biophysiologically as well. So I wanted to also talk a little bit about statistics. You were saying 1 in 4. I think in Malaysia about 2 3 years ago there was a report that over 30%. So this is almost 1 in 3 in
Yeah,
Malaysia very recently,
yeah. I
and
would say, yeah, one in
and
three
that is
probably.
what is reported. That is what is
Yeah,
reported. I'm also quite curious actually to ask who doesn't have mental health related issues? Who doesn't? Like who
correct.
is perfectly healthy over here?
Yeah,
Yeah, we all have varying degrees, but there's no such thing as perfect mental health either. You're never going to be
correct.
perfectly
Correct.
fine up there. So, would you be able to share what life was like when you were growing up, and what do you mean that you were born into generations of mental health related issues?
Well, I don't have the evidence, but I feel even the way my father was talked about his biological father, because his biological father left my grandmother when she was pregnant with my dad. I think it takes a lot of. I don't think there was a third person. I'm not sure whether he remarried or anything, but anyway. So then my father obviously, and after his breakdown, so he then we were living in a household where we had to walk on eggshells, and we had to. My father never took anything out on us. I mean, when he was depressed, he would just withdraw, totally be withdrawn. He couldn't stand loud noises. He would be, just like kind of away. And so we kind of all, okay, Abba's not well. So, we kind of all got skirt around him kind of thing. Um, and so, it just went on and on. And we just, I guess, got used to it. It just became part of the family life. um, the thing that became quite bad, I think, for us at that time. I didn't display any signs of depression, or maybe if I did, I didn't kind of realize, oh, that was it, because I didn't understand it myself. All I knew is my dad was ill. I didn't really research. I didn't read. At that point of time, maybe because I was younger, we didn't talk. He didn't talk to me as much about it. Actually, only in my 30s, when I kind of felt, okay, this something's not right, that I actually approached, or I spoke to him on one of my trips back to Malaysia, to say, yeah, I think I've got this as well. And then he kind of became more open to me,
Yeah.
and yeah, and gave me his ways of coping. Unfortunately for him, I mean, at that time in Malaysia, he had a breakdown in the mid 70s. There wasn't really any like counseling, and all psychiatrists were just about giving medication. Don't get me wrong, I think medication is great, but it has to be a balance between medication and counseling.
Of course.
And yeah, and we mean counseling not by, oh, you should be thankful for what you have, la la, not that kind of counseling. I think
Oh,
it's good to be,
that full disclosure, that is not counseling.
yeah, okay. I mean, that's what people, like, oh, that's what they think. So I think he had to read a lot of books. He was very well read, a lot of, he practiced a lot of, he was, religious, and he also practiced a lot of meditation, and in a way mindfulness, as much as he could. But I think at the age of 77, it just of years of trying to cope, it takes a lot of effort, trust me. So he just couldn't do it anymore. The strength, he just didn't have it in him. And for the last 10 years of his life, he was, I would say, quite severely depressed. You know, literally just lying in his bed, not doing anything. It was a struggle to get him to eat, to get him to shave. He just had, I mean, when I had my breakdown, I couldn't do anything either. I think one of the days, the highlight of my day, the most major thing I did was take a shower. It was so hard.
Mm.
And but saying that, I don't want to diss it in the sense, I don't want to say, oh, it was only a shower, because my
Yeah.
therapist says every action is really a positive thing, and
Yeah.
you have to kind of keep being positive, and every little thing that you do, you need to say, hey, I did that. Yeah, I had a
Yeah,
shower.
it
Great
sounds
job.
it sounds a little bit like physio, when you've broken a leg or something, and you are able
Yeah,
to take a small step, like something that you could have done, like a run or sprint or marathon. Just merely
yeah,
moving your toes is big success.
of
Uh,
course.
but we can't
Exactly.
visibly see this because it's mental health related stuff.
Of
And so
course.
people are like, what's wrong with you? It's just a shower, just go get in there.
Yeah,
You were talking a little bit about your dad being having his dad leave him
yeah,
when he was not yet born.
yes.
Do you think that was the reason of his eventual depression?
I don't think so. I mean, my dad came from a very poor family, and he did a lot to elevate himself. He worked as a gardener for his English teacher to get more lessons. He was from a village, kampong, and he finally became a teacher, and then he went to LSE, London School of Economics, to do an economics degree. So he came
Wow.
back. Yeah, he came back at the right time where, Malaysia was developing. So he worked in the railway, then obviously in the Port Authority. So there has been, difficulties in our family. My brother passed away when just shy of age 17. That is, I think, always very hard for a parent. So I'm not saying that, oh, his mental health is due to all these issues, because my grandmother remarried and had like 9 other children. And because at that time, I suppose she must have said to him, you always have to be good. You have to always give in to your sibling, because you're not his son, kind of thing, not my grandfather's son. But as far as I guess my dad's concerned, that was his father, and that's my grandfather. So I think there has been quite a bit of pressure on him. But saying that, there's so much pressure on everyone else. The thing I think about mental health is having, because all of us have like life pressures, sadness, death. I'm not saying, we are special or he is special, but it's the way his coping mechanism is
Mm,
is not the same, or my coping mechanism is not the same as someone who doesn't actually have, clinically been diagnosed as having depression. Because
right.
people get depressed. I mean, you have a bad day. I'm not sure your situation, but a person can have a bad day and say, God, I'm really depressed today, which is fine. But people with mental health, as in diagnosed mental health, it goes deeper and deeper, and it's really a struggle. It affects you physically as well,
Yeah.
uh, not just having moods. I mean,
Yeah.
I take medication every day to cope, and I do my mindfulness, and I take steps to make sure I'm on an even keel for myself, for my children, for my work. um, so I think my dad has had, or all of us have had, issues in our family, but I wouldn't say we're different from any other family. It's just that we have this gene, or we have this, our brain has this inability to manage the chemicals.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for just bringing light to the fact that your family is no different. I could imagine a lot of people, and I speak to so many, I speak to like groups at a time, and it always comes back down to stories about how their parents had some dysfunction in them, or the other that impacted them. So everyone's got a story about parental dysfunctions of sorts as well.
Of
So
course.
this is not an isolated case where this is Zainah's family. I think majority of us would be in a situation where there is some level of uh, dysfunction that is going on, some level, of course, varying, but
Yeah.
still some. And I also wanted to shed some light on something that I thought was really interesting about what you said, that when your dad was experiencing his level of his depression, what you guys did was that you were tiptoeing and, like I say, walking on eggshells and moving around and la la la. But when you finally accepted it and came to terms to it, you actually spoke to him about it, and your relationship became better. So, there is this theory that depression, anxiety, stress is not about anything else except a lack of connection. It could be a lack of connection in the brains. It could be a lack of right connection in the brains. It could be lack of the right connection, between your cells or the biochemistry. It could be a lack of connection with another human being at a desired level. And you brought
Mm.
that to him, and that obviously made him open up.
Yes.
That's really powerful.
I mean, I think don't get me wrong. All my siblings and my dad, we've always had a good relationship because he's a very what do you call it, interactive dad. He's very hands on. He's very um, but I think having someone say to him, "Hey, I kind of know what you're going through," but of course, I'm just it was it was good. It was good for him, I think. Um, but I think he also felt really sad that I have it as well.
Yeah.
And I can understand that because my daughter has mental health issues as well, and you don't want your child to have the same thing as you, and you don't want your child to be in any having bad things,
Pain.
bad health. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think what is also interesting about what you just said is that sometimes we do have a good relationship with our family. We have interactions, as you say.
mm,
Do we also then have a real connection? So is the
I get what you mean.
interaction or real connection? And I
I get
think
what you
many
mean.
times, not necessarily just being Asians, but I was just talking the other day to Dato Andrew Lim, who is Chinese. I don't mean to bring up the race, but elderly Chinese, just demographically. And I said,
Yeah.
do you speak to your son the same way you speak to your? No, sons are different. We always treat them a little bit differently. And so the interaction is there, but the connection is always a huge variable. And so, Zainah, what was the hardest day of your life? What did the hardest day of your life actually look like?
Um, the hardest day I would say when I was having my breakdown, when I couldn't feel. I couldn't feel. I was trying. I was lying in bed and I was thinking about my children. And normally, when I think about my children, my heart fills with a lot of love, and I feel quite overwhelmed sometimes, But I couldn't feel anything,
What
and
do
I
you mean,
went through.
physically or?
I just couldn't, the emotions that I normally felt, like, you know, even now I think of them. I'm like, you just feel like that happiness, that, oh my god, that kind of thing. But I was lying in bed, this was 2012, and I was trying, because I felt dead, I felt something not, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to try and make myself feel. And the most positive thing for me is my children. So I was thinking of them individually, like their quirks, their character, which I normally think about and think, bless her or whatever, kind of thing. And I couldn't feel anything. And went through it again and again, because when I was in my breakdown, I was just lying down. I couldn't. I don't think I even moved. I was in one position for like hours. I don't
Wow.
my and the only thing that was kind of working, I guess, was my brain or my thoughts. Um, and obviously every now and then having panic attacks. But I couldn't, and I just thought, that would be that is the worst thing. If I cannot feel love for my children, I mean, I that what's the point? I don't know, because I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I love my ex-husband, and I still do as well. But I suppose a love for your child. I wouldn't say it's more than everybody else. I'm not saying that, but it's just a
Right.
different kind. Yeah,
Right.
different.
And
And I
so,
couldn't I couldn't get the emotion.
would you say it was like just numb?
Yes, numb.
Yeah.
I would. What comes to my mind now is a bark, a tree that is dead. Like a log
Mm.
that's all wrinkled and cracked, and yeah, like no moisture in it, just
Right.
dead.
So here is, we have Zainah Zain speaking to us about being born into generations of mental health related issues. Her dad had extreme depression, and for the last 10 years of his life, he was living in that manner. And you started having some symptoms, and then you had something full blown to the point where you were like a log and you couldn't move and you were numb emotionally. And then
Mhm.
now there's you. Fully spirited human being over here. What changed? How did things turn around? And maybe before we get there, how did it? What got you to this place? Is it one thing, or is it many things, or is it all compounded?
I would say it was many things. I just kept. Well, I had this view that I had to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect friend, the perfect everything. And I think you can't really be that, because some people can cope and be it,
You can't.
but
Yeah.
yeah, and some, I don't know, maybe you. I don't think you can. But anyway, and I became quite.
No, you can't. I'm
I
confirming that
became
for
quite.
you.
I know I became quite OCD about things. And everything had to be in its place. My children always had to look well dressed, and everything had to be just kind of like, I don't know, like a Stepford wife, which I self-imposed. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't expected of me. It was something that I expected for myself, and maybe I think to a certain extent expected from my ex-husband and my children. So it just got to a point where nothing really triggered it. It just happened. I just woke up one day, and it was just like that. I That's all I remember. I don't really remember, like, from the point I was ha 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 to you know
Yeah,
uh,
would you then draw a parallel? I'm not sure whether it's an appropriate parallel, but like someone having a heart attack, for example, it's not
mm,
necessarily because of one event, but it is, the way life has been led,
yeah,
genetically or,
yeah,
behaviorally or circumstantially or whatever that leads to this one moment where suddenly you're like, oh my God,
I
I can't,
know.
I can't do anything anymore. It's like
Yeah,
a thing called gradually, then suddenly.
yeah, an accumulation of things that we impose on ourselves, the way that we live our life, the expectations that maybe to a certain extent people put on us. People
Yes.
can put or any expectation on you. I guess for me now, I'm like, okay, you expect that of me, but this is only what I can do.
Yes, yeah.
This is what
I
I
love
choose.
your eyebrows as you're saying that. You're like, excuse me, no, no.
Okay, yeah,
So you put a lot of boundaries, a lot of clarity and boundaries with regards to what you can do, what you can't do, what is reasonable, what is unreasonable
yes,
for
yes,
yourself and from others as well. And
yes.
what were some things that helped? What were some things that actually, I really like what you said in our earlier chat. You were saying that it's almost like a bucket where it just the
Fills
water
up.
just
Yeah,
slowly getting to a higher level, and it's overflowing. It's reached the full brim, and then it starts overflowing.
yes.
Yeah, and this is one case where glass half empty, half full. You're like, okay, I just want the glass empty, and
Actually, I just want the glass to be. I think it's good to have the glass being filled, but I want the glass to also drain,
right. And so
because you can't live. You
which
can't
one,
live
which
your
one did
life.
you need more?
Sorry.
Which one did you need more? Did you need it to be clear or did you need it to be full?
I just wanted it to be how it should be, which
Mm.
is everyone's glass will fill, and it will then drain, because you can't live your life in euphoria and just happiness.
Right.
If you don't know anything that's bad, you won't be able to appreciate the good,
Yeah.
vice versa.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted it to be like how biologically it should be, but
Mm.
mine doesn't work that way. So I wouldn't say I want it totally empty, because I think if I went through life just being so happy all the time, I think that's not both,
That's another form of disorder as well.
obviously,
That's another form of disorder. Yeah, I don't
uh,
think
yeah.
biologically we're not designed and we're not made to be like permanently happy anyway. That's a complete myth. So, what are
That's
three things, Zainah, that you remember? Three moments that helped you to pivot and get you to where you are. Three solid moments that were like, okay, this
uh,
helped me to move again.
let me see. I had written it down. Three things that I, three milestones, or what was that? Three moments.
Three moments in your life or three things that really helped. Three, it could even be the words that you heard from someone or a technique that
Ah,
was used or,
okay.
yeah.
I was quite lucky because my sister came, when I had the breakdown, my sister came down and took me to see a hypnotherapist. And no, she didn't make me walk on one leg or whatever. I didn't. It's not that kind of hip. I mean, my children, when I came home from the session, was like, "Oh my God, mom, what did they make? What did she make you do?" I'm like, "No, it's not that sort of therapy." But she made me understand my brain a lot, and so how it works. And the things that she said to me, which really helped, was one: if your friend came to you and told you that they were having a difficult time, blah blah blah, would you turn around and say, "Oh my God, come on, can you just be realistic? Can you just man up? Can you wouldn't say that to your friend, but why you say it to yourself?" Because
Yeah.
whenever I have an issue, or where in the past when I was down or whatever, I'm like, "Come on, you're a mom, you can't be like this. You gotta be strong, you gotta be this, So why are you not kind to yourself?" And I think that is one of the things that's really important. And being positive. Okay, I know a lot of people say, "Yeah, be positive, think positive." But the thing is, are they really doing it? Because when I went at therapy, I would say, because she'd say to me, "What would you like? How would you like to see yourself?" And I'd go, "I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be this. I don't." She's like, "No, that's not what you want. That's what you don't want." So she gave me this example, like, you don't go to Tesco's with a list of all the items that you don't want. You only write down the things that you want to buy. So, that was really hard. I had to go through many sessions to understand that, and not to immediately, um, you think it's easy, but have a go. Like you say, what do
Oh,
you
it's
want?
really hard.
Yeah, so what I want is, I want to feel happy. I want to look at it can be like, I want to look at my garden and think, "Hey, that's a pretty good garden. I've done a good no, actually my garden is rubbish, but I'm just giving an example." And it's
Right.
as
So be
opposed to,
kind to yourself, focus on what you want rather than what you don't want.
yes, focuses, and have your boundaries. One of the things, because I was quite a controlling person, maybe I am to a certain extent, and she was like, we'll just happen to talk about ironing, and she's like, "I don't iron anything." I said, "Oh my God, I spend hours doing it. I used to be like, iron towels and everything. It's quite bad." And she said, "Try not ironing." It was the hardest thing, one of the hardest things for me to do. And I just, till today, it's been 8 years, and I don't iron. It's
Yay!
not the ironing. It's not the ironing itself. It's the thing that I always had to do, whether I was tired, whether I could never give myself a break. And I iron sheets, pillowcases, whatever you. Thank you, mom. She irons socks, so it's probably from her. But anyway, it was just giving up something and delegating. And one
Right.
of the other things is, because my ex-husband and I, when we moved here, we didn't have family here in Cardiff, and we were the sort of people, maybe being from Malaysia, we're very, um, which is quite different from Western people. We don't like to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know whether it's malu factor, or like, oh, you don't want to disturb your neighbor, you don't want to disturb your friend, you got to do everything yourself. So we
Yeah.
had this, like, we did everything, work, children, everything.
So
Um,
ask for
and
help is important. Asking for help is very
yeah,
important. Yeah.
and that's one of the things I had to learn at such a
Mhm.
late age, is to ask. I mean, I would. in the past I would ask for help if there's an emergency, but sometimes, now, like, just I would ask for help. I
Mm.
wouldn't feel bad. I think my life was a lot about, oh, I don't want to disturb someone. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to impose, And now I just think, and a friend of mine said to me something really interesting. She said, when someone asks me for help, it makes me feel good that I can help them. So don't think that you're
Yeah,
imposing, because again, if you can't help the person, you just say no,
of
and
course.
don't feel, yeah. But
Yeah,
the thing is, the person helping actually also feels good. So you're doing something good for me. She said to me, if you ask me for help, I'm like, okay, that makes sense, you know.
absolutely. And what do you think helped the most for you? Uh, if there's one thing that you feel really was the trigger of um, your transformation of sorts, what do you think it is?
I would say it would be acceptance.
Mm.
It took a while to accept. I know some people, why me, but I think because I thought quite practically, I think my great grandfather had it, my father obviously has it. There are signs with some of my siblings, and so it's, I have
So
it, like,
what do you mean by acceptance? What did you need to accept?
I needed to accept that I have a mental health issue. What comes with acceptance is being open about it. And I think being open about it really, really helps. Um, Most people are uncomfortable when I talk about it, but I'm like, I don't care what you feel. I just want to talk about it. And I'm like,
I think that's the best part about recovery. Real recovery is actually not only acceptance, but reintegration into the community with a full new spirit that you
yeah,
attach to it. And I
yeah,
love this constant thing that I hear about people who have really gone through a proper recovery. They end
yeah,
up saying, I don't care anymore. I'm not
yeah,
I don't care about
yeah,
your opinion of me anymore.
yeah,
I will listen to feedback. I want to improve, but your
yeah,
opinion has nothing to
yeah.
do with, with me having to change myself. Yeah,
One of the
yeah,
Yeah, one of the things that, yeah, it's interesting you say recovery. I don't see myself as a recovered. I'm not recovered. I still have my mental health. It's still happening, happens daily. I wake up every day with anxiety. I have
mm,
to go through a process where, I take my meds. I no, actually my process is wake up, shower, come down, put the kettle
yeah,
on, empty the dishwasher, eat my meds, or make coffee, eat up my meds, and play Candy Crush
yeah.
every single day. That because it takes me about half an hour. It takes the medication about half an hour to work.
To kick in, okay.
Um, yeah, and the anxiety. I might have had a good day, a bad day. It doesn't matter what. I just wake up with anxiety.
Yeah. I think one thing that people should understand as well with regards to recovery is it's
Yeah,
actually a lifelong process because this is a lifestyle
yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
that it is over, and it's not that it will be permanently in this space. It's a
mm,
constant thing that you pay attention to. It's
yeah.
almost it's kind of
Mindfulness.
yeah, absolutely. It's like somebody who has had, say, for example, cancer and said, I am a survivor. You can't ever say, put it that way because now for the rest of your life, you're going to be looking after yourself. And it's
Yeah,
also the same thing for someone who has not had cancer. For example, to say that I am still in the process for the rest of my life to make sure that I'm healthy. So
yeah,
I'm constantly working on having a good mental state and
yeah.
potentially a good physiological state as well. So yeah, I
Correct.
totally agree with you when you talk about I'm not completely recovered. I don't know if I've recovered. And I have
Yeah.
one last question for you. You're talking about you don't know what the future holds.
Yes.
And you're saying, I don't know. Earlier, when I was speaking to you before we came on live, you said you don't know whether you'll become like your father.
Yes.
So I'd like to push you to make a decision uh,
Yes.
because sometimes there are lots of things that we don't know. There's lots of things that we don't aren't in control of, but
Mm-hmm.
we can make a demand on whatever or whoever is out there and say, I want something. But
Yes.
I'd like to ask you a question. What do you predict with regards to your future? Are you going to be like your father? Are you going to be like yourself? What's the future going to look like for Zainah?
Well, for me, my future is that I will hopefully continue working till I'm 68.
You
I say,
can't use the word. You can't use the word hopefully because you're
oh
clear.
yes, that's not. You see, I still do it. I want to be healthy and work as
Not I
long as I
want
can.
to be.
I am. I
I will
am
be.
gonna
Yes,
be
I am.
healthy.
Yes,
You see, it's really hard. It is
I
hard. I don't know
know.
for me.
I know.
Yeah, I am going to be healthy and work as long as I can. I am going to travel. I am going to always. I'm going to be mindful and keep on being mindful about myself. I will not neglect myself. Um, it's quite a hard line between that and trying to and being selfish. I want to spend as much time as I can with my children if they want to spend time with me. I don't know. I have a very good relationship with my ex-husband. To be honest, I still love him very much, but it was just my mental health and everything. But anyway, and I want to make sure that whatever time that I have, if that happens, that I end up like my dad, I want to make sure, and I think like my dad did as well, that whatever time in before that I used to the best of my ability,
Mhm.
um, and to make connections with lots of people and to just appreciate everything that I have,
Right.
even my mental health.
Yeah. And what do you want the most?
What I want to go to Maldives.
Okay.
I
Oh,
wanna,
just
after this COVID, that's my
yes.
plan. I want to go.
Yeah.
I want to see my mom and go back to
Yeah.
Malaysia, and I'm going to Maldives. I see myself in future. People think it's funny. I love my children to go and explore. I'm not one of those who want my children to be near me, live with me. In fact, I keep saying, "Come on, go, go, go! I'm waiting to get my flat. I want to live on my own." I think it makes me comfortable thinking if I live on my own, if I have like a bad day, I don't have to feel the pressure that, or I have to have conversations with people if I want to, kind of thing. So, yes, I'm looking forward to my older age. I'll be 50 next year, so I'm really looking forward to being with my friends and spending time with all my family as much as I can.
That's
um,
awesome. And I think
it's
that
great.
I
I,
think
I, I have a really positive outlook on the future.
yeah. I know, not I think. I know that our language makes all the difference in the
Hmm.
world.
Hmm.
And I just like you to recognize that you know what you want and
Yes.
that fear or that question of whether you're going to be like your dad or not, uh, it plays absolutely no relevance because you're so clear about what your future is going to look like
Yes.
and you articulated it so well. So I
Yeah.
hope that you just stick to that and draw a nice, beautiful picture of it. And, uh,
Yeah.
you know, 20 years from now, I will call Zainah up and I'll be like, hey, Zainah, do you remember that interview? And,
I'll be in my
look
photo
at it.
frame.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if there is, so Michelle, again, thank you so much for being here and putting up your comments. Bharat Avlani as well. Thank you so much for your comments. One Facebook user says, "You rock, Zaina. Thank you for coming forward." Melanie says, "Hello." Michelle says, "Dear Zaina, thank you for being so vulnerable." Bharat Avlani says, "Our life experiences impacts us for life. It's important we accept and let go so we can embrace new experiences. Most of us live with our buckets full of beliefs and experiences. We must puncture the bucket and let go, but easier said than done." Bharat also says, Arina, I salute your courage and you being strong enough to share your vulnerability. Michelle summarized, be kind to yourself, focus on what you want, have boundaries, ask for help. And I think beyond acceptance, also reintegration. Um, yeah, and Michelle also says her main schema, like emotional deprivation, The lack of emotional engagement, I think, makes her feel depressed if she's not careful enough in dealing with it. So at this juncture, I think, what is one advice that you like to give everybody who's tuning in and who might listen to this later?
For me, it's got to be acceptance. Because if you can't accept yourself for what you are and be comfortable with it, then nobody else is going to be able to. So that for me, even if it's not your body,
Zarina, I think I might have lost you. Yep.
oh, okay, no, I see you now.
Sorry, I think I lost you there for a little while.
Okay.
We're having a little bit of technical difficulty now. Are you okay there, Zarina?
Yeah, I'm
Zarina?
fine.
Yeah. Okay. So you were talking about acceptance as a very important piece of advice. I wanted to thank you for that because although we hear it all the time, I think you've emphasized it perfectly, and it kind of strikes a chord and a good reminder for me as well. So
You're
thank you for
welcome.
that. Yeah, thank you for
Oh,
being with us. Again,
thank you for
yeah,
for having.
I hope that this has been valuable for you as well.
It has. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you take care. We'll be in touch, my love. We will
Okay.
be friends for a long time, I'm sure. Again, wanted to thank Mujahideen and Leon for connecting us. We have Zainah Zain speaking on being born into generations of mental health issues. Together with me, Hital Doshi is Zainah Zain. Please connect with her if you'd like to share your story, get a bit of a good humor going, and also seek some advice if need be as well. You've got a friend in her for sure. So thanks, Zainah. You take
Okay.
care. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.